Hello, sweet friend. Welcome back to our cozy little storytime corner. Whether you're cuddled in blankets, sipping tea, or just taking a quiet moment for yourself, I'm so glad you're here. Today's story is about love, not the loud kind, but the soft, everyday kind. The kind that lives in teacups, garden paths, and gentle smiles. And it's just right for all ages. Let's take a little walk together to a place called Wren Hollow, a small village nestled between snow-dusted hills and old stone bridges. It's the kind of place where window panes glow gold in the evening, and everyone knows the name of the postman and the baker's cat. In this village, in a weathered cottage with pale green shutters, lived Nora, a quiet, kind woman in her early 30s, who ran the village's tiny bookshop, the Wishing Page. She loved hot tea, handwritten notes, and the rustling sound of turning pages. She also loved Valentine's Day, not for grand declarations or red balloons, but for the simple beauty of remembering someone with kindness. Every year, Nora sent hand-drawn cards to her neighbors' little watercolored hearts, tucked into mailboxes with love and lavender. This year, Valentine's Day was just around the corner. Outside, snow melted slowly from the rooftops, and tiny crocuses peeked from the earth. Inside the shop, the kettle always steamed and soft music played under the smell of paper and cinnamon. But this year, something was different. For the first time in a long while, Nora felt quietly lonely. Not sad, just a little empty in the spaces where companionship once lived. Still, she smiled as she brewed her tea and wrote out her cards, her handwriting curling softly on each envelope. In Wren Hollow, even the smallest gestures could feel like sunlight. And this year, the smallest thing might become something truly special. The day before Valentine's Day, Nora woke early. Mist hung low in the hills, and the sky had that soft February gray that made the world feel still and full of secret magic. After opening the shop and dusting the shelves, she placed a wicker basket of free bookmarks by the door and a small sign that read, "Take one, and pass along a kind word." As she stepped outside to place the last few cards in neighbors' boxes, she paused there. Tucked into her own mailbox was a small red envelope. No stamp, no name, just a simple heart drawn in pencil. Nora blinked and smiled softly, her breath clouding in the air. She carried it inside and sat at her writing desk. The envelope had a delicate feel to it, as if someone had handled it with care. Inside was a card with hand-pressed flowers and 6 gentle words. "Thank you for noticing small things." Nora felt her chest warm, not with surprise, but with a gentle wonder. She looked out the window at the still streets of Wren Hollow. Who had left the card? A friend? A stranger? Someone who had walked her same path, silently? All day, she watched the door of her shop, smiling at every visitor. She gave away warm cocoa to the schoolchildren, helped Mr. Benton find a poetry book for his wife, and listened to Miss Ainsley chat about her cats. But no one mentioned the note. That evening, as the sky blushed pink and lavender, Nora lit a candle in the window and sat quietly by the fire. And even though she didn't know who sent the card, something inside her had shifted. A soft fullness had returned, like a cat curling into your lap without asking. Maybe this Valentine's Day would be a little different, not because of a grand gesture, but because of one quiet, thoughtful moment. Valentine's morning dawned bright and cold. Frost traced tiny stars on the windows, and the trees wore little sparkles on their branches. Nora wrapped herself in her rose-colored shawl and walked to the shop early, humming a tune she hadn't sung in years. But when she reached the door, she stopped. There, on the cobbled path, someone had laid a winding trail of flower petals. Not roses, but little winter blossoms, snowdrops, crocuses, hellebor's blooms that whispered, "Hope lives here." The trail led up to her door, and taped gently to the wood was another note. This one read, "To the one who reminds others, they're not forgotten." Nora's eyes filled with soft tears. She placed a hand to her heart and whispered, "Who are you?" But part of her didn't need to know, because she felt it. This was love. Not romantic love, necessarily, but the kind of love that saw you, the kind that said, "You matter. I see the quiet things you do." Later that day, The shop was filled with laughter, stories, and steaming cups of tea. People lingered a little longer. Someone brought muffins. A few neighbors even left notes of their own on the shop's bulletin board, thanking each other for kindnesses long overlooked. And Nora smiled, because her love, the gentle, steady kind, had grown into something more than she ever expected, all because of one anonymous note, one envelope, without a name. That night, Nora sat by the fireplace with her favorite mug, chamomile and honey, and opened her journal. She wrote, "Love doesn't always shout. Sometimes it's an envelope with no name, a path of petals on a winter morning, a friend remembering your favorite book. Love is quiet, but it is always enough." She placed the journal on her lap and stared into the firelight, feeling calm, full, and deeply thankful. And though she never found out exactly who left the notes, perhaps it was one person, or perhaps the village as a whole had joined in, Nora knew this Valentine's Day would live in her heart forever. Not for what it gave her, but for what it reminded her. Kindness always comes back. Love is everywhere, especially in the quiet places. Thank you so much for joining me for this gentle story, dear friend. If this warmed your heart, please like, subscribe, and come back again soon for more peaceful tales. There's always a spot for you here in the cozy light, where stories bloom like flowers.